Hey guys, Kakarot197 again, with more Hazel madness. And this time I came equipped with my Titan's Ring to have an overview of the 1/44 scale high-grade Universal Century next generation mass production machine. Not to be confused with this thing, which is called the next generation mass production machine, or this thing, which actually became the next generation mass production machine. So let's put them to the side and talk a little bit more about this machine. Essentially, this machine is a mass-produced and watered-down version of the Hazel Ozla. And even the manual tells you that in order to make this thing, you start from the Hazel Ozla and strip it down, and then add the backpack of the regular Hazel. One important thing to note here is that when you look at the manual, it seems like you only need 2 model kits to create this thing. The Hazel Custom P-Bandai version, which, as with the previous model kits, you do not need the P-Bandai version, you just need the regular Hazel, and then the quote-unquote Hazel Ozla. So the model kits you will need to create your very own next-generation mass production machine will depend on whether or not you want to paint. You will always need a Primrose, and then you will either need just the Advanced Hazel or the Advanced Hazel in combination with the regular Hazel Custom, which will then result in a price tag of 2,900 yen or a whopping 4,200 yen. Of course, you will have spare parts that you can actually use for something. For the Hazel Custom, we basically have this left over, and technically also the shield and the beam rifle, because any picture you will find of this particular next generation mass production machine does not have a weapon or a shield, so you can add whichever one you want. And then, of course, one very usable thing will be the shield booster, which you can then use for the high mobility version of the Hazel. And if you want to, you could, of course, also attach these extra E-packs to the side skirts, because the manual also wants you to remove these. Then for the Primrose, you will have all of these parts left over, with the most important one being the cannon, because you can use that one for what the manual calls the Primrose equipped with Tri-Booster unit. Basically, you need a second cannon that you would otherwise have to buy a whole new Primrose for. And talking about combinations that you would have to buy a whole new Primrose for, we also have a second missile pod, which you can then use for what the manual calls the Primrose equipped with enhanced shield boosters. So with this configuration, you would not have to buy a whole new Primrose just for that one missile pod. And then finally, you have the leftovers of the Advanced Hazel. If you paint it, all you will have left from the Advanced Hazel is basically this pile with an extra enhanced shield booster, which you can then use for the Primrose equipped with enhanced shield boosters that I just described. And if you went with the non-painting round, you will also have a whole other Hazel Custom in combat deployment colors. All of that for 4,200 yen. Then one funny thing that I have to mention is that despite this thing being the simplified version of the Hazel Ozla, in model kit form, it actually does 2 things better. For starters, the shoulders are much better articulated because this piece that normally goes in between the arm and the body is removed, so now the shoulders actually have full range of movement. They go forwards and backwards more, and now they will also go up and down. And this is just that shoulder joint moving, not the actual arm. So you do get some pretty good movement out of this configuration. Then the second thing is the waist joint. It's still the same waist joint, but there is now significantly less weight on the back. So it actually does its job perfectly now. And you can use it for some cool posing without having to worry about the Hazel falling backwards. Well, I say Hazel, the next generation mass production machine. And personally, I like this thing way better without the sub-arm unit. The body is just so thin, and then the contrast with the bulk below it that the sub-arm unit adds just isn't really my aesthetic. And then all that's left to do is some size comparisons. So first of all, here is again next to the Barzam and the other next generation mass production machine. Then here he is next to the Gym 3, which in a way became the real next generation mass production machine, at least until the Jagan came around, and then the Advanced Hazel. And finally, here he is next to the standard size Gym Custom and the always bulky Zaku 3. And with the removal of most of the Ozla parts, the next generation mass production machine is definitely less bulky than the Zaku 3, but still more bulky than your average machine. And that is all for this episode of Hazel Madness. A big thank you to the Patreon supporters. I hope you all have a great day, and I will see you all next time for the next episode of Hazel Madness.